Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee to consider an application under the Licensing Act 2003 for the grant of a premises licence at Beer Keller, 3 to 4 Paget Road in Barry. My name is Matthew Swindell and I'm representing Democratic and Scrutiny Services and I'll be supporting the meeting today. Before we move on to agenda item 1, I do have some housekeeping matters I need to make you aware of, please. May I start by reminding everybody present that the meeting is being live streamed to the internet as well as recorded, and this recording will be archived for future viewing on the Council's website. Can I firstly ask that all participants can confirm that they've received and read the relevant papers for the meeting today, please? Wonderful, thank you all very much indeed. Can all participants please mute themselves when not speaking in order to avoid any background noise or feedback when other participants are speaking? If a participant does wish to speak, can you please raise your hand using the raise hand function in Teams or indicate on the screen to the chair once we've allocated a chair that you do wish to speak. If any participant raises their hand via the function and are not subsequently invited to speak by the chair this morning, please could you turn your camera on or indicate either on screen or place a message in the chat function so that we can address the matter. Could all participants please ensure their microphone and camera is on when speaking to ensure that all parties can be seen and heard when actively participating in the meeting. If this is not possible for any reason, please bring this to the attention of either myself or the chair as soon as possible. Can I ask that all debate is raised verbally and not via the chat function for the sake of the recording? The chat function can be used to highlight any technical issues or to gain the attention of either the chair or myself. If any party has any difficulty hearing or being heard when addressing the committee, please could you let either myself or the chair know as soon as possible. And I'd like to start by briefly introducing the members of the Licensing Subcommittee this morning, who are Councillors Gillian Bruce, Pamela Drake and Jane Norman. Also attendance, we have Mr Price, who's the legal representative for the Vale Glamorgan Council, and we have Miss Brooke from the Licensing Department. We also have Debbie Bollard, who's with us this morning, who is the applicant's representative this morning. Can I please begin by going on to item 1 on the agenda, which is the appointment of a chair for the meeting, and could I have any nominations for that role, please?
Could I nominate Councillor Pam Drake, please?
Thank you, Councillor Norman. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Bruce. So, Councillor Drake is the nominated chair for the meeting. I'll hand over to you. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. Well, I'll now hand over. Right, first of all, item number 2 is declarations of interest. Do any members have any declarations of interest under the Council Code of Conduct? No, I can't see anything.
None were formally received, Chair.
Right, okay. Right, we're here today to look at the application received for a grant premises licence for the Beer Keller 3 to 4 Paget Road, Barry. I welcome everyone present and will request that you identify yourself if you are to take part and whether you've made written representative authority. So I will now hand over to the officer who will take us through this application, which will be looked at under the Licence Act 2003, which has previously been said is a premises licence for the Beer Keller, Barry. Can I hand over to the officer who's taking us through it?
Thank you, Chair. It's Yvonne Witchell, the team manager for licensing, and I will be presenting an update and presenting a brief summary of the report to members. Obviously, since the application was received, there have been some changes during the period of consultation. Could I first, for the record, ask that the submission of an amended plan, which has been circulated to members, I believe, that amended plan now forms part of the application.
Thank you, Yvonne. We did have that, but I was wondering whether you could actually talk us through it, because I really couldn't see it properly. So, yeah.
Okay, no problem.
It wasn't particularly clear on the screen, unfortunately.
Yeah. Either myself or the applicant's representative will talk you through what that plan now comprises. Secondly, you will see from your report you have an Appendix B, which contains the representations. Could I ask that it's noted that the environmental health section of Shared Regulatory Services has withdrawn their representations, subject to the inclusion now of the conditions in Appendix B forming part of the application before you today. So they will not be presenting. Further, South Wales Police has withdrawn their representations following discussions with the applicant's representative, and therefore the conditions at Appendix C of your report now form part of the application process. So therefore the only matters for determination within this hearing are the representations which remain at Appendix B of your report. They are representations B1 and B2, and they are shown at that appendix. And I can confirm that neither of the other parties responded to the notice of hearing and are therefore not on the call this morning. So, as the chair has said, this is an application for a new premises licence for the beer cellar at 3 to 4 Paget Road. Within your report, we include the permitted hours for the sale of alcohol and the types of licensable activities sought. The steps the applicant proposes to take to promote the licensing objectives are set out at box M of the application form at Appendix A. And in addition, now there are the conditions at Appendix B of the report for the environmental health element, and the conditions at Appendix C of the report for South Wales Police. The powers available to the subcommittee are set out within your report, and just for information, as the representations made reference to a public spaces protection order in force in Barry Island, and we have provided some background information as to the extent and the effect of that PSPO at Appendix D of your report. I don't have anything in addition to add to the report. The plan, as I understand it, originally included an outside external area to the rear of the premises, and now the proposal is only to include an area to the front of the premises, the subject of which are 2 parking spaces. But I think it will be more appropriate if the applicant took you through the full application as it stands now, and how they intend to operate those areas. So I don't have anything further to add to the report that's before you.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Yvonne. Therefore, can I hand it over to the applicant? I presume it's a representative for the applicant to present this case. They are coming on screen.
Sorry, Ms. Bollard, you're muted at the moment.
I was mute. My apologies. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning to you all. So my client wishes to operate a bar premises known as the Beer Cellar in the basement of 3 to 4 Paget Road at Barry. My understanding is that many years ago, this premises was operated as a beer cellar previously, and I gather it had quite a reputation in its time. My client would like to assure everybody that the more detrimental side of that reputation will not be continued with the new application, and hence you will see the list of steps that my client would like to take or proposes to take in order to promote the licensing objectives set out in the Licensing Act 2003. The premises would be open from 11 o'clock in the morning until midnight, with last sales at 23:30. There is an area to the front of the premises that my client would like to apply for a pavement cafe for, similar to Enzo's. which I believe is a couple of doors down. And Mr. Jamie Crowell has already spoken to the highways department about the possibility of that. And there has been a meeting of minds that 2 parking slots, parking bays would be suitable to apply for. Those would only be used until 8 o'clock at night, so there was no intention of them operating late at night and creating a nuisance. And the sale of alcohol would be done through an app that my client would have, so those people who are drinking in that area would either come to the bar to place an order, or they would place an order through an app, and then the alcohol would be served to them under the excuse me, the off license only part of the alcohol application, the premises license. So the off-license part would therefore only be used for drinking alcohol in that place. It's not intended for the use of off sales to be for any other purpose whatsoever. So my client wants to make that very clear to you, that that is the only reason for applying for off license, is so that alcohol can be served in that pavement cafe area, which he feels would really give some, enhance the area. The idea of outdoor cafe European style is becoming, more of a style for many premises areas now. My client also, as you probably are aware, operates amusement arcades in that area. We'd like to assure you that the signs on the arcades are very clearly displayed that make it clear that under the Gambling Act 2005, no alcohol is permitted in the arcade. And there are floor walkers and members of staff that would ensure that nobody takes alcohol into the arcade, so that there would be no breach of the licensing conditions that apply to the premises licenses and permit granted under the Gambling Act 2005. My clients agreed to a number of conditions already that were submitted by the police during the consultation period. Many of those actually were already steps listed in the licensing schedule. I assume everybody's read through those. Do you want me to go through those or are you happy that you read through them and you haven't got any questions on those? Yeah?
No.
So my clients agreed with the police during the consultation period that they would take those conditions, and then after the application consultation period, there were representations raised by environmental, and following a period of negotiations, my client has now agreed that a small area that was included in the original application plan to the rear of the premises, which was intended as a beer garden, will no longer be included within the application. Access at the rear of the premises will only be for members of staff or for emergencies, for example, during a fire. So that reduces the risk of any nuisance to local residents. Therefore, the only consumption of alcohol outside the premises will be that area that is edged blue marked on the amended plan, which are the 2 parking bays to the front. And again, that is still subject to an application for a cafe pavement license, which will be submitted after this application.
Oh, yeah, thank you for that, because I was concerned about that rear use. It was a bit worrying because of residential properties around there. And I'm glad you've gone through everything, and has put my mind at rest now. So
thank you.
Right. I'll open it up to any queries or questions from my fellow members. Have anybody wish to ask anything? Councillor Norman? You're muted.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Ms. Bollard. Just a quickie. I know that the application for the pavement cafe isn't included in this licensing, but could you say what steps are going to be taken to stop people that sit on your pavement cafe, etc., having a drink, getting up and walking around with bottles, glasses, or what have you, and going beyond the premises of the cafe itself? Are your clients going to take this into consideration?
Yes, my client understands the concerns that the council might have over that, and sufficient staff will be employed to ensure that there is regular monitoring of that area. particularly, and not only just to do with people possibly removing alcohol from that area, but also creating litter, say, for example, with cigarette butts and other issues like that. So at the moment, my client intends to employ sufficient staff that there will be regular monitoring of it, and if it becomes more of a concern, then they will look at more suitable steps if that becomes necessary.
Thank you.
And you will have plenty of CCTV cameras installed, won't you, to check everything?
Yes, the CCTV obviously will be installed.
Yes, so that's good. Does anybody else wish to raise any questions? No. I don't think we got any other responsible authorities here present want to provide any factual information. I think those have all been sort of withdrawn, really, haven't they? Yvonne, is that right? We got nobody else here?
Hi, Chair. Yes, as they've withdrawn their representations, they're not present today. The other two representations, obviously, there are written submissions, although obviously they're not here in person to speak to them.
Right. Okay. Well, right. Well, I can go on now and ask whether the applicant wish to make any further summing up.
I think we've basically discussed everything there is need to be summed up. I understand the two representations that have been made by people who are not present today. I think we've probably addressed those representations here today, particularly the one about off sales, and my client has put enough steps in place within the schedule attached to the application to, I hope, to assure the councillors at the committee today that that alcohol will be sold in a responsible way, and that to start putting age limits on is probably one step too far.
No, thank you very much for that. As I remember the beer cellar very, very well from my youth, it would be nice to see something coming back to the island, because we've lost so many places over there. But anyway, that's beside the point. I now advise that the subcommittee will now retire to deliberate this item in private. And I thank you all for your attendance today. And I'll hand over to the officers to advise the next stage. Is Matthew going to do that?
Chair, I'm happy to do that. Obviously, you'll deliberate and the applicant will be advised of the outcome, and I anticipate that will be within the next 5 working days.
Right, thank you very much. Well, as I said, thank you everybody for your attendance. We will now withdraw for our deliberations. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.